on page 37 of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In recent weeks, I've been contacted by a number of residents of private flats in Greater Riverside who have experienced an extremely poor communal recycling collection since Easter. As the former portfolio holder highlighted at last Thurrock Council, boosting recycling rates is very important. The residents have been working hard to recycle and are now concerned that flats may no longer receive this service. Can the new portfolio holder for environment please put their minds at rest and confirm that communal recycling collections have not been abandoned?
Councillor Watkins, welcome on board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, as well, for your question. I'll happily answer. You are quite right. The former portfolio holder, who I'd like to put for the record as well, did an amazing job in last year, which was serving for us. She did an amazing job cleaning up the mess, which was obviously left for her when she came in 2016. And you are quite right. She did say that environmental rates are important, and they are very much important. It's something we should really be working on. But it's very interesting when you look at the actual recycling rates, and what they've done over the recent years. When you go back to 2010, when the Bentley Service Administration actioned the free bin system, recycling rates went up to 44.52%. But then they fell under the Labour administration in 2015 to 37.90%. That's quite a big drop, despite the fact that the free bin system still remained, and weekly collections still remained as well. So, very interesting to see. But you are quite right, recycling numbers are not where they need to be. More will be done, and yes, I will be actioning that. In regards to communal recycling, collections continue across the borough and also in Greater Riverside as well. There have been issues in the past with contaminated waste, which is perhaps the reasons why sometimes bin collections haven't been for recycling, as you will be aware of. But I can confirm tonight that one of the first things I did as soon as I entered the portfolio, I spoke to the team, spoke to comms as well, and said we need to talk to residents, we need to work out how we're going to communicate with them, how we can get recycling rates up. Let's find out what they need to see, what information do they need to get to understand what goes into recycling bins, what doesn't go into recycling bins. Let's get contamination down, because fundamentally, if we can get contamination down, we actually are improving the service and saving money. People may not realise this, but it costs lots of money, contaminated waste for this borough. So if we can get that down, we're saving a lot of money and improving the service. And I would ask, on the record, that please can residents follow what's available to them. Please use the correct recycling bins. Please put the correct stuff in the recycling bins as well. Thank you.
Councillor, thank you. Councillor Apothecary, you'll get supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Watkins. I'm sure we all enjoyed the sort of slight deviation through history, but I'm glad that you got to my question at the end. So what we have is a situation of fact that since Easter, between Easter and now, these flats have received a very, very poor service. It's been particularly acute in Bridge Court on Bridge Road, but I have also received complaints from people in flats in Curzon Drive and areas around that area. My residents and, sorry, I sort of preempted you slightly on this, but my residents and their management company staff who have been on the ground maintain that there was no contamination when the bins were not collected. Indeed, one of my residents, called Bob, actually sorts through to ensure that there isn't any contamination. He actually takes that on himself. And I've got residents here in Public Gallery tonight who are trying to make sure that the bins aren't contaminated. It hasn't been an isolated incident, which is what's giving me concern that it's not contamination, that these were just missed. Could I ask you to just have a look into why this might have actually happened, rather than kind of falling back on the idea of contamination when I don't think that's actually correct?
Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, as well, for your question. Obviously, I'll take that to the team. If you can send me those details as well, happy to reply back to you and meet some of your residents as well to go through those issues which you are experiencing. And I'd like to thank the residents as well. If they are going through those bins and checking the recycling, fantastic, that's good work. It's a good example for the rest of the borough as well, so thank you. Again, as I say, we will look into this. I will reiterate though, just a further point, that a lot of the time when bins aren't collected in recycling bins, it is due to contamination waste. If it is deemed that there's a constantly high contaminated waste in certain bins, then sometimes you will see the refuse trucks pick those up, because unfortunately there's no point trying to send it to the depot in order to send it to recycling, because it's just going to get rejected and straight to refuse anyway. So that could be the reason why. In relation to possibly issues you are experiencing, it may be related to individual problems with route optimisation. Route optimisation has been a massively successful thing that's gone on across the borough, and happily so as well, we're now getting collection rates of over 99%. which is fantastic to see. Step in the right direction and with more to do. But again, I will take your concerns on board. Speak to us.
Thank you very much. Just to remind you of the time, but David, have you got a second supplementary?
Thank you, Councillor Watkins. That is reassuring, and yeah, I think that route optimisation may play a bit of a part in this, and I'm not criticising route optimisation. Okay, so my question, I've then got a kind of further question that one of my residents asked me to ask, which was about the process of what happens if bins are contaminated. Because my residents were told that their bins were contaminated when they contacted the council to complain that they either hadn't been emptied or they'd been emptied into the general waste. No notices were left, no leaflets, no communications. And my understanding was that normally if a recycling bin is contaminated, some sort of notice is normally put on that bin. So I just want to double check that firstly that policy is still in place, which I'm hoping it is, and that also, can we just double check it's actually being done?
Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you again, Councillor, for your supplementary. Happily take that and find out what's going on with that. I don't know what's going on there, unfortunately. But that is very much still the case. Bins which are contaminated would be noticed on them. But as I said in actually my opening statement, that in relation to recycling rates, in relation to what people are recycling, not recycling, contamination, we will be working on a new contrast in relation to that. We'll be working with the residents to find out what information they need to get from the council in order to improve recycling and to understand what they need to do better.
Thank you.
Councillor Watkins. Councillor Collins, would you want to read out your question? I said a bit
Yes, thank you. Councillor Watkins, can the new portfolio holder tell me what his programme is for the next 12 months of cutting campaign in Thurrock? Thank you.
Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, for your question. I can't talk about the affiliate part of it, but I'll happily talk about cleaning and cutting parts of it. I think we can all agree that Clean It, Cut It, Fit It has been a highly successful programme. This administration undertook to clean up years of neglect we saw under the former administration. Leah tonight has already mentioned some of the numbers. Just for clarification, we go back through some we have seen since April. We have cut over 1,000 hectares of grass. From parks, green spaces, our teams have collected over 31 tonnes of rubbish. We have filled over 2,000 potholes, and from litter picking, we've actually collected over 22,000 bags of litter, which is an incredible number actually when you think about it. This is just a small example of work being carried out and what the additional investment we put in has brought to this borough. Over the years, obviously over the last year, it's come across leaps and bounds, but there is more to do and more will be done. I really do look forward to working with Keep Us and Tidy, which will be going on this year, in order to find out, they'll be analysing our own works, because sometimes we want to mark our own homework, and so they'll be telling us good expert advice on what we can do to make things better, and we'll be taking that advice on board, and I really look forward to say working with them. In the new year, we'll be moving towards a new electronic scheduling system. For those who don't know, this will help provide greater transparency for residents across the borough. Basically, they'll know when their grass has been cut, which is something which we should have had a long time ago. I'm really looking forward to this coming in. If there are any changes to the service at that point in time, that will be notified in there as well, so residents can keep a constant eye on when they can see the local grass being cut. Additional training will be provided to staff, and I'll also be asking the team to what additional training and qualifications can our staff have as well to make their daily lives a little bit easier and better. As you already know, we are replacing the waste vehicles in the new year, over £7 million investment. We'll also be looking at what equipment needs to be replaced across the environmental team, and also we'll be looking at what street signs need replacing and cleaning up as well. Along with parks, the Parks Review, which was discussed at the previous former Cleaner Greener Safer Committee. As you already know, that review is already going through. I'm going to be doing a little bit more of that as well. I want to be working with schools, residents, community groups to get an understanding of what they need in our parks, including as well sports provisions. So I'll be working with Councillor Holden with that as well. As was already mentioned, we'll continue to improve enforcement across the borough, maintaining zero tolerance to littering, flag tipping and breaking of CSPO orders. I'll be working with our teams on further target hardness to prevent unauthorised encampments and flag tipping across the borough. And Clean It, Cut It, Fit It will be evolving too. Not only will we just cleaning the streets, we'll also be looking to clean the air. It's a priority of mine to work with my other cabinet colleagues to clean up this borough's air to help tackle rising air pollution. Clean It, Cut It, Fit It continues to show that this is an administration which is making a positive difference to Thurrock. Thank you. This is an administration which is investing in our services and making sure we have a clean and tidy borough. There is a lot to do, there's a lot more to improve, but it's the main priority of mine to get that done.
Thank you for the that. Have you got a supplementary question? Councillor?
I have, Mr. Mayor. I'm brief. At the moment, across the borough, there's a lot of our litter bins may be construed as being in the wrong place or in need of repair or tender loving care. Have you considered what can be done about this, please?
Councillor Watkins?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, for your supplementary. You are quite right, and this is something I'm very happy to announce we're going to be looking at. Based on a ward-by-ward basis, I have conducted, which hasn't got the most glamorous name, unfortunately, but it will be a street bin review. So what we're going to be doing is looking at what the strategic location of the bins are, the types of bins they are, the conditions these bins are in, and what current needs we have in that area. We're going to following on from the feedback what we need to do next. The reason why I have requested this is to fundamentally help improve the service and obviously the residents' experience as well when they're walking down the streets. I have seen it across the borough many times where we literally have a bin next to another bin. No reason why that bin is there, no reason that bin is there, which is just two together. Or I've seen it the opposite, where we've got one bin which is completely ruined, and then one bin which has been replaced right next to it, but the former bin hasn't been removed. So this is something which we're going to be looking at. And again, as I say, within that, we'll be looking at where we need bins as well. The strategic locations where we are missing bins, and the list is quite high, we're going in and seeing what we can do there. This review is showing proactive nature of this administration, and hopefully what you see from me, and desire and willing to help change this service for the better. Additionally to this, we also have the big belly bins coming in the new year. I'm not trying to see here, but they're actually really, really good. I saw these at the LGA a couple of weeks ago. Basically, they're going to have solar power, so they can have the ability to have Wi-Fi in the future as well. They will tell us when they need to be cleared, so that teams can go out and then clear them because we know they're full. And you find this boring, but it's very helpful and it's going to help improve everyone. But these are coming in the new year, in a few weeks' time, and they will be strategically placed across the borough.
We have run out of time for questions, but we've got only one question left. We've run out of time for questions, but only one question left. Councillor Garish, do you want to quickly take that one rather than just do it?
Go on, Chris, ready.
Find a supplementary. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do appreciate that, although I do think there might be other circumstances where we can allow questions to be asked in these situations as well that perhaps we should think about, for example, with members of the public. Will the new Cabinet Member for Environment outline his priorities for the portfolio?
Thank you for your brief response.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try to be as brief as I can. I won't reiterate the points we've already made this evening, so you can already understand some of the service implementation changes we're going to be making. The main service change which we're going to be making across the next year, and one of my main priorities, is actually to change the environmental service plan, the strategies and some of its policies. These were last updated in 2011 and before that, so myself, the team, and the colleagues will be going in and seeing what more can be done. I've already highlighted that air pollution is going to be under that banner. There is also going to be a strategy and policy going forward for green energy, green strategy for the borough, for the council itself. This is something which is incredibly important. We need to make sure we're being ready for the 21st century and we're ready for going forward. We'll also be looking at the municipal waste strategy, fees and charges, commercialisation as well. So there's a lot which is more going to fall under that, clean, and everything else which corresponds with that will all fall under that, and more of that will come out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Garish. Do you have a supplementary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll welcome first of all Councillor Watkins to his new role. It's clear he's going to bring some enthusiasm to that role, and I'm sure we look forward to working with him. Environment clearly is crucial to Thurrock, and I think where we can work constructively together, we will aim to do that as we have been trying to do so far. Mr. Mayor, last year 3 major environment KPIs were missed on the proportion of household waste recycled, on the cleanliness of our streets, and on the percentage of bins empty on time. Mr. Mayor, what does the portfolio holder see himself doing differently from the previous portfolio holder to address those issues?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, I'd like to say that the former portfolio holder did an amazing job, and to say otherwise is grossly unfair. So I'd like to say those comments taken back, actually. I've already stated tonight that I will be working with the team to improve KPIs and recycling rates as an example. I've already said that where we are failing, it's not good enough, and we will do better. As actually already mentioned as well, in the last 2 weeks, I can give you the numbers as well if you like. The week 16 of the municipal year, 18th of July finishing, we had a collection rate of 99.7%. Week 17, the 23rd of July, we had a collection rate of 99.3%. So 99% is incredibly high. I'm sure it's higher and we're ever so under your administration.
Councillor Gersh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm slightly surprised by that. If he's making such strong progress, I wonder if you can tell us why the direction of travel for cleanliness in the borough, in the administration's own corporate performance report, is that it's getting worse and not better.
Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, the truth of the matter is, we don't hide behind stats like your administration did. The first thing we did, we got rid of the green, amber, red model, which, if you look at the performance reports, which I was doing this afternoon actually, most of those were amber. So actually, most of those were failing under your administration as well. As I've already highlighted tonight, there's been vast improvements made in the service in the last year. There's more changes going to be made. Waste service has been replaced. We're looking at replacing this equipment. If we go back to a year ago, I believe we only had one working tractor thanks to your administration. The former portfolio holder came in and sorted that out. So of course we were going to be doing badly on the KPIs in that scenario because we didn't have the grass cutting equipment there because you cut it.
Thank you, and that therefore ends questions.